All right, so yeah, I think we all need to talk about this. Because it's not just me noticing it anymore, it's literally the entire Blue Lock Rivals community at this point. And I've seen it all over Discord, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. The topic that's been coming up nonstop ever since yesterday's Aiku Rework dropped, it's the voice acting. Yeah, I know. It feels weird to even say that in a Blue Lock Rivals video because normally when we talk about updates, we focus on moves, animations, or balance. But this time, it's something deeper. Something that actually affects the vibe of the game itself. Because, let's be honest here, the voice acting for cutscenes in this game has been getting more and more off. And I'm not saying that to be rude, I really mean that in the most honest and constructive way possible. It's not that the devs don't care, they absolutely do. But lately it feels like the voices just don't fit the characters. And after the new Aiku rework, that's become painfully clear. So, let's start with the obvious one. Aiku's voice acting. Because yeah, that's where this whole topic really exploded again. His new voice in the rework is probably one of the biggest criticisms I've seen so far. People love the moves, they love the cutscenes, the snake animations. All of that looks great. But the voice? That's the one thing that's been dividing the community. And I'll be honest, I agree. His new voice just doesn't sound like Aiku. It doesn't match his personality, his calm, mature, and tactical energy. He's supposed to be composed, confident, someone who reads the game with quiet precision. But his voice in the rework sounds more like a random, generic, non-Japanese man trying to sound like Japanese, you know. But in the end, it's just like Sharingan Rasengan Arigato type of accent. It's not even bad voice acting, it's just misplaced. And I get it. I don't want to sound like I'm just complaining for no reason, because I know how hard it is to actually find good voice actors, especially when you're working within limitations, and that's exactly what the devs are dealing with here. But still, as someone who's been playing this game since the early days, I feel like the voice acting situation deserves to be talked about, and maybe even fixed in the long term. Now, before we go any further, let's address the question that literally everyone keeps asking. If the voices don't sound right, why don't the devs just use the original anime voices? And trust me, that's the first thing I thought of too. Like, if they just pulled the lines from the anime or hired the same voice actors, all these problems would disappear instantly, right? Well, not exactly. Because as Miro himself officially said in Discord, and I quote, "We're aware of the issues with the current voice acting. As previously explained and put simply, it is illegal for us in other games to use voice acting or voice lines from the show. We're taking the necessary steps needed in order to hire the best voice actors we can get." And honestly, that right there explains everything. It's not that the devs don't care. It's not that they're lazy or cutting corners. It's just that they legally can't use the original voices. It's copyright. It's licensing. It's literally not allowed. So yeah, for everyone who's been asking, why don't they just use the anime lines? That's why. They'd get hit with copyright claims faster than you can load into a ranked match. And you know what? I actually respect them for being transparent about it. Because Miro could have easily ignored the backlash or brushed it off with a short, "We'll fix it soon." But instead, he came out and explained exactly why things are the way they are. That's good communication. Even if it doesn't solve the problem immediately, at least now we understand it. But that doesn't mean the issue's gone, right? Because legal or not, the reality is that the current voice acting in Blue Lock Rivals still doesn't always hit the mark. It's inconsistent. Some voices actually sound great, like genuinely really good, while others feel like they were recorded by someone who didn't even try to hide their accent. And I'm not being mean. It's just like, come on, we are playing a game that's on updates is hitting almost 200,000 to 300,000 concurrent players, you know what I mean? Right? And that's where I think the real problem lies. It's not just about bad voice acting, it's about voice direction. Because you can have talented voice actors, but if the direction isn't matching the personality, it just sounds weird. Aiku's voice is the perfect example. He's supposed to be calm, cold, analytical, but in his new cutscene, he sounds, again, as I said, Arigato Sharingan Rasengan type of accent. It completely changes the tone of the scene. And this isn't even the first time this has happened. If you remember back when NL Nagi first released, that's when this whole voice acting conversation really started. That was the first time I saw people in the community openly complaining about how out of place a voice sounded in game. Because let's be honest, Nagi's original voice lines from the anime are iconic. His lazy tone, his detached energy, that soft drawl when he talks. But in Rivals, the voice we got was way too lively, almost upbeat, and it didn't match at all. That's when people started noticing, wait, these voices don't sound like the characters we know. And ever since then, it's been a recurring issue. Some styles are fine, but others just completely miss the tone. Now, credit where it's due, not all of them are bad. In fact, a few of the newer limited styles actually nailed it. Like, remember Reaper Sae from the Halloween event? His voice acting was surprisingly good. It's exactly how Sae should sound. It wasn't overacted, it wasn't off-tone, it just fit perfectly. Even the echo effects during his cutscenes made it feel more intense, more dramatic, and more him. Same with Demon Shidu. His voice was aggressive, wild, chaotic. It fit his character completely, so we know the devs can find the right tone when they get the right actor. Which is why I think the solution isn't to remove voices completely. Because, yeah, I've seen that suggestion a lot too. Just make the cutscenes silent. It'll feel more atmospheric. I get where that's coming from. But let's be real. Blue Lock Rivals without voice acting would feel empty. You need that energy. You need that extra layer of personality that makes each awakening and special move feel unique. The voice lines, when done right, make the difference between a good cutscene and an unforgettable one. So I don't want them to remove the voices. I just want them to improve the direction and pick voice actors that match the personalities better. And you can tell the devs are already thinking about that. Because in Miro's message, he said they're taking steps to hire the best voice actors they can get. That's a really good sign. It means they're not just using volunteers or placeholder voices. They're actively looking for professional talent. And if they keep going in that direction, I think we'll eventually reach a point where the voice acting becomes one of the best parts of the game instead of one of the weakest. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. The voice acting issue is real, but it's also fixable. And I'm glad the devs are aware of it. I think we're heading in the right direction, even if it's a bit rough right now. But what about you guys? What do you think? Do you think the new voice acting for Aiku fits him, or do you agree that it feels off? And which characters do you think need new voices the most? Let me know down below. I'll be reading the comments as always. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, stay hyped, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.